so there's some forces that are going against each other, resulting in this. The Heat gaining momentum and the Celtics crumbling a little bit. But I find it hard to believe that the Celtics are this bad. I don't think they're this bad, and I don't think the Heat are this good. But right now they are. And so I just wonder, I can feel it. I can feel the demand for blood coming out of New England. And I just wonder how that's going to end up playing out.
Well, Bontemps and I were talking while you were taking your sweet time getting back from writing a column that should have been done at halftime. And, the Bontemps did make a point, like, are you really going to have 4 coaches in 4 years for a team that's supposed to contend?
Well, and again, tough. On the other side of that, they have sort of the perfect control group. It's the third coach in 3 years. And again, we're talking about the same issues of inconsistency and struggles late in games and lack of the Celtics have never.
This is how you talk yourself into looking at Jaylen Brown.
It's not. Well, what it should be talking people into is the idea that, look, Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown walked in the NBA and were immediately on really good teams from the second they were in the NBA. And at the end of the day, over the past couple of years, they've been either even or better in talent in every series they've been in. And other than the first round last year against Brooklyn, every series has been at least 6 games, often 7 games, often a struggle. They've not been able to win games at home. They've blown all sorts of leads. Like, at some point, you have to look at these guys and then look across at what Nikola Jokic is doing, what Jimmy Butler is doing, what these elite players are doing, and say, are these guys good enough? And at the end of the day,
the only thing I would say is they were in the finals last year. They are one of the last 4 teams here. I mean,
they've been in the conference finals 3 out of 4 years, right?
Yes, but in terms of getting to the last step, those 2 guys in particular struggle to create plays for other players. Jaylen Brown is almost at a 1-to-1 assist turnover ratio in the playoffs. I think he's +2, literally 2 more assists and turnovers. And Jayson Tatum in both games 1 and 2 had multiple turnovers in the final couple minutes of the game.
That's why they traded for Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White.
But again, but you're not giving the ball to Marcus Smart or Malcolm Brogdon or Derek White in the final 2 or 3 minutes of the game. You're giving the ball to your best players.
So what are you driving at?
What I'm driving at is that's the question that the Celtics have to answer themselves. Are those 2 guys good enough to get them over the final hurdle?
I would not give up on those 2 guys.
I'm not saying that you
young. They're way too young.
I'm not saying you give up on them today, but that when you talk about questions that have to be asked about this team at this point, to me, that's the question that you have to really ask.
Well, that's the thing. So Tatum and Brown both became Supermax eligible, which means that this year Jaylen can sign $270, $50 million some odd dollars a year.
I believe it's $289 and $310. So I think a total of $599 million.
Really? I've been saying $270.
Yeah, it's not $270.
It's a ton of money, but the cap's going up, and
no, wait a minute. It's not just simple that. It's not just simple as the cap's going up. If they're both making over 50, I think it's $55 million a year, and they're making $110 million between the 2 of them each year with these new rules about whether you're for the second apron, about whether you can keep your draft pick in this spot or you can make a trade or add players. Like it's not a no-brainer decision anymore.
Here's the thing. Brown's 26, Tatum's 25. They've been close. They've been knocking on the door. I don't think you can give up. When you have that kind of duo, I think you have to keep it together until it becomes it's time. I don't think it's time yet at all. At all. And if you sign Jaylen Brown, let's be honest, like we're talking, they're going to keep Tatum for as long as he's willing to stay in Boston. I think that's the likelihood of it. So we're talking about Brown. If you sign Brown to that deal, what do you always say about a contract? How do you judge a contract? Can you trade the guy? I still think can trade the guy.
They absolutely could. But look,
Okay.
I'm not saying that the Celtics should give up on those guys. But to me, the conversation coming out of this series, whatever you think of the coach, even if they fired the coach, the question coming out of this series should not be about what can a coach do.
Well,
It's, are those guys capable of getting to the, like you saw last year in the finals, right? Steph Curry was just on another level from those guys when it mattered. They were not good enough. Jimmy Butler, the series before, I voted for him for conference finals MVP because he was, to me,
Now
way
that's
better.
a vote that is
Bontemps has been
standing the test of time.
he is.
That
Well,
is standing the
are
test
you
of
getting
time.
free big face coffee? What's going on here? You are.
I
a
am
Jimmy
not.
Butt- You are a Jimmy butt kisser, is what you are.
By the way, Jimmy Butler's big face coffee gear, I mean, I couldn't get away with it, but it's kind of cool, and people in the arenas are wearing it, and it's
Well,
it's not bad.
I mean, he's earned that. But my point is, we've seen time and again that these guys have not been able to play to the level of these other truly elite star players. And if you look over the course of time,
you keep saying time and again, man. Like how? I mean, dude.
well, look, just go look at the teams that win, though.
Who's won more playoff games than them over the last, over the course of their career? It's a short list.
Yes, because they walked into the league on stacked teams and they've been really good. They're
Kyrie
really
Irving
good players.
They've in theory
and they led them to the conference finals game 7 against the
They've been
LeBron.
in theory getting better each. Like the addition of Horford was a good addition. The addition of Derek White, good addition. The addition of Malcolm Brogdon, good addition. Their team is getting better.
They have the deepest team in the league this year. They're really good players. But what I'm talking about is if you look over
the league, but the Williams brothers can't play. I mean,
Well, again, if you just look over the past several years, Kawhi, Giannis, Steph, LeBron, Durant. Like, if you're going to win a title, you have to have a top 5 player in the league, in theory.
Well, great. They should just go to the store and buy one of those guys.
You don't think Jayson Tatum's a top 5 player. That's what you're saying.
Well, yes, I am saying that. And I'm also saying if you're the Celtics, to me, that's the thing you really have to look at is, are those guys going to eventually be good enough? And if not, what is the path to getting a player or players that will get you over the top to that point?
I just don't think you make that determination on a guy when he's 25 and has been.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not. He's been in the conversation and he's at least on the verge.
But I'm not saying that you should trade Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum or both of them today. I'm not saying that. But that, to me, the better conversation.
I don't exactly know what you're saying.
Because the conversation about where the Celtics are headed, to me, has to be about their best players and not the coach. That, to me, is what it has to be about.
That's been said. All right. Now I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about what we think the Miami Heat look like going up against the Denver Nuggets, because that's where we're headed. And that's I don't know what the odds you could have got on that were. I don't, but I got a
97%. I got a 97% belief that the odds would have been extremely high in that series. If that series happening.
97%, is that a specific number?
It's a BPI reference. Celtics were 97% favorites to win the series when it started, according to BPI.
Oh.
And they're still 72%. Is that what you said?
72.
That's what someone sent tonight to me.
Man, that is a
72.
That is a reckoning.
I'll take the 28.
The reason is because the Heat had a negative net rating during the regular
72
season.
is pretty good. That's better than most of my grades.
And the computers and the bookmakers keep the Heat, I think, are 9-1, 8 or 9-1 in this postseason against the spread. That doesn't make sense. They're 9-1 when they're underdog by more than 7 or something like that. Anyway, the point, I don't know, I maybe have that number locked down, but the point is the odds makers can't believe it. The computers absolutely are in denial. And no matter what anybody on the Heat says, anybody in the Heat organization says, they're pretty stunned that they're up 3-0. They may have believed they could have got the
I'm sure they thought they could win the series. They didn't think
people in the Heat. Yeah, people in the Heat organization are not exactly hiding the fact that they're stunned. They're up 3-0. Of course they are.
Right. Eric Spoelstra had to go to lengths tonight to try to calm everybody. Like you could tell what he was saying to the media. He was also saying to his players, which was like, okay, we know we've got emotions. Let's not let them out right now. This was a mature performance. Let's remain mature, remain calm. Everybody remain calm.
And you know what? They're going to, because their star player is a stud, and he's going to get them, and he's just controlled the whole playoffs.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.